being ripped off and put more money in your pocket, then join me, Clark Howard, every weeknight at 6 right here on WOCA The Source.
Visit the WOCA website at www.woca.com.
All right, 5 minutes after 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. A couple of days ago, we had an interview with a gentleman who wrote a book. He actually didn't write the book. Somebody else wrote the book.
Victor Wright wrote the book.
Victor Wright wrote the book. Victor Wright is a quadriplegic. He lost the use of all 4 of his limbs in a head-on accident while playing football. You know, you thought I was going to say in the car or something like that. He was playing football when he was in high school.
Yes.
And this was like, was it 40 years ago, 30 years ago?
Yes.
So he's been in a wheelchair ever since that, and it makes you say, "Wow, holy mackerel!" It's something you take for granted. You can play football and maybe get injured, but nothing like that. Dr. David T. Teuscher is on the phone. I don't know that I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but we'll find out in a second. Dr. Teuscher is an orthopedic surgeon. He's the president of the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons. He serves as a team physician for Lamar University's NCAA Division I athletic teams, and he served in the U.S. Army in Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm. Wow, good for him. And thank you, sir. Abby Navarro is also on the phone with Dr. Teuscher. Abby is an 18-year-old patient who is a freshman at Maryville College in Tennessee, where she plays intramural basketball and softball. And we're going to talk about the symptoms of sports-related injuries in young people, children and teenagers specifically, and the best ways that we can prevent injuries and perhaps not have to have a lifetime in a wheelchair, as the guest from a few days ago. Good morning, Dr. Teuscher, and good morning, Abby Navarro. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Where are you, first of all, and then I have to ask Dr. Teuscher if I'm saying his name correctly. Well, let me do that first. Am I saying your name correctly?
It's actually Teuscher, but you can call me anything. Just call me.
Teuscher. Okay, I will call you. And are you both together in the same place?
We are. We're at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C., and this is the week that the entire leadership of the nation's orthopedic surgeons come to D.C. for health policy discussions and visit on the Hill and talk to the Congress about the needs of our patients like Abby.
Okay, and Abby, were you injured playing basketball or softball?
I was injured playing basketball my sophomore year in high school. I actually tore my ACL and my meniscus in my left knee.
Oh my goodness. And is that permanent damage, or did you recover from that?
Well, I did recover with the help of my orthopedic surgeon and my physical therapist, but there will always be those small injuries for the rest of my life.
Okay. And doctor, are we going to learn that there's ways to prevent these things, or is it inevitable that there's always going to be injuries in sports?
Well, an injury like Abby had is essentially the ligament ruptures, one of the 4 major ligaments in the knee. And the anterior cruciate ligament is absolutely critical to avoid instability to the knee. So once it's ruptured, there's no way for it to heal on its own. So it actually has to be repaired or essentially replaced. The meniscus also had to either be repaired or removed in her case. But the good news is, even though these happen about 100,000 times a year in America, the good news is the athlete can have the reconstruction, go through the rehabilitation, and return to the next season to their sport. So unfortunately, like the example you had talked about where the quadriplegic athlete, they're not going to go back to sports, but in ACL injuries, we can get you back in the game. And your listeners might want more information at anationinmotion.org. That's a good website for them.
Oh, excellent. Okay. And when you say reconstructive surgery, does that include like internal prosthetics, like artificial pieces, or no?
Well, there's 2 ways to do it. It requires a natural scaffolding or a graft. And we can take that from your knee. That's called an autograft. Or we can take it from a tissue bank where a cadaver part is used, and that's called allograft. There's pluses and minuses on both of those, but it's not actually a prosthesis, if you will. So it's actually a replacement of some soft tissue that forms a scaffold to grow a new ACL on, because the ligament goes down the middle of the knee between the thigh and leg bone, connecting those two and stabilizing them.
Are there vitamins that the young athletes can take that could possibly help build up the resistance to the breakage or the torn muscles?
Well, the use of vitamins is somewhat controversial and not necessarily scientifically proven. We think a good diet, proper exercise, getting ready for your season, making sure that you're flexible, making sure you warm up and stretch before your activity. And the other big problem we're seeing now is overuse injuries. Now, Abby's was an acute injury, but overuse injuries happen when the growing skeleton is stressed repetitively beyond the breaking point, and the weak point is that growth plate. So the studies that have come out now are showing us pretty conclusively that most coaches and the parents and the athletes don't understand if you play that sport year-round at a high level, you're prone to getting a stress fracture through that growth plate or a overuse injury, and those are preventable. So our message to your listeners today is we can keep you in the game, but you may have to slow things down or have cross-training or an off-season conditioning program and not play at that high level all year round. There's some really good guidelines on nationinmotion.org as well as www.orthoinfo.org. But we can keep you in the game without surgery, and that's the real message for your listeners.
Oh wow, Abby, I'm just curious if the surgery made you gun shy. When you went back out onto the court, were you like so leery of it happening again, and did it affect your game?
I was definitely nervous. Every time I stepped on the court, in the back of my mind, I always thought, this could always happen again. But with the help of my surgeon and my physical therapist, I was for sure that I was stronger than I was before, and I felt confident when I played.
Well, that's good to know.
That's a pretty common scenario. Most of the athletes that I've done that surgery on tell me that the second season after they come back, they're actually in better shape than they were before they first got injured. And so the message is, if that's where you need to be, let's make sure you're in really good shape and really well conditioned so you don't get injured.
Are the coaches well aware of this, that the coaches could actually see each individual player, and if they're having a problem, they can tell them to get it checked out right away, or do they put the team in winning first?
Well, I think that's an individual thing, but certainly in the case of, say, Little League, there's very strict guidelines now of how much pitching that the athlete should do and how the pitch count is important. So the coaches are becoming more aware of this. The athletes are more aware. They don't want to get hurt. They want to play their sport, and the parents are becoming aware of it. So I don't think people are doing things maliciously. It's just a lack of awareness, and that's why we're trying to get the word out that these are preventable injuries and they're avoidable, and we can still keep you in the game if we're smart about it.
So it sounds like if you're in better shape, if you've got your muscles toned, then that's a better protection for the ligaments and the tendons and the bones. Is that right?
Yes, we know that strong and well-conditioned muscles, and especially if they're balanced, so you've got a muscle on the front of your thigh called the quadriceps, but the one on the back, the hamstrings, is equally important. And you've got to work both of those in concert to help stabilize both your hip and your knee. And if you're using those well-conditioned muscle tendon units, it will help protect that ligament so you don't have an ACL injury like Abby did.
Abby, did you learn any new exercises that you could pass on to, well, obviously on the radio you can't show us exercises, but I mean, like to young people maybe that you're working with, to show them a new way or a better way to exercise?
Cool thing that I learned in physical therapy, every single time that I went, they put a large rubber band around about right above my knees, and they would have me strengthen my hips. It would strengthen my hips. So I would stretch my knees back and forth with this rubber band, and it was very simple, but it definitely worked. And they always told me that your hips, that is the most important thing. Those will help prevent those ACL injuries. Wow.
That's a great, whoever came up with that idea had a good idea. Well, we're just about out of time, and I know you gave us a website, nationinmotion.org. Are there any other websites we can leave the listeners with?
Yes, absolutely. Orthoinfo.org is also a very good website.
Okay, orthoinfo.org and nationinmotion.org. Abby, take care of yourself.
I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for being on the air with us. And Dr. Teuscher, thank you for being on the air with us as well. You're both welcome back anytime. And whatever you're doing in the next season, Abby, win. Win!
Just win, baby.
All right, we'll take a little break and we'll be right back. This is WOCA Ocala.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Clouds and breaks of sunshine today and breezy with a couple of showers and a heavier thunderstorm moving through the area. The high 83 to 87. Partly to mostly cloudy tonight with lows in the mid-60s. For tomorrow, clouds and some intervals of sunshine and a bit cooler, high 78 to 82. For Friday, mostly sunny, breezy and pleasant, the high 78 to 82. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Central Florida Eye Institute is the area's leader in laser vision correction. From high-definition refraction surgery and LASIK vision correction to custom cataract, glaucoma, and diabetic treatment, you can count on Dr. Crowley and his effective, friendly staff to provide you with the quality care you deserve. Call 352-237-8400 for an appointment or more information. That number again is 352-237-8400. Looking forward to service your vision needs.
Good credits, bad credits. It's none of our business because we're not an auto dealer. We're not a bank. We're not your mother. We're OcalaForSale.com. Marion County's marketplace for cars, trucks, and SUVs. We've got thousands of sellers standing by to take your call. No middleman. But hurry, don't walk, don't run. Just sit down and log on to OcalaForSale.com. Prices and inventory change daily. Offer does not include dealer upcharge. Undercutting, rust-proofing, factory surcharge, or delivery fee. See website for details.
Do you have areas that have started sagging or drooping? Is what you're looking at not quite the same as it was years ago? Are there enhancements you've been putting off? Is there serious damage you need fixed? Then call on us, Damage Control Services. When your roof is sagging and the drywall is drooping after a storm, or your home just needs some enhancements, from damage repairs to new construction, Damage Control Services is here to help.
Hi, I'm Leah Caruso with Strive Rehabilitation, inviting you to join me Thursday at 11 a.m. for Health Matters. Ocala Health and Strive have teamed up to bring you the latest information on good health services available to you right here at home. This vital information will help you make informed decisions about your health. So don't forget to join me here at 11 a.m. Thursday. It's news you can use from Ocala Health, Strive, and your friends here at WOCA.
One of the most common questions those nearing retirement are asking, will I outlive my money? Retirement questions like these and many more will be answered every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement with hosts Francois and Julian Pozenet. Francois and Julian will help you put your retirement puzzle together. Catch Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement Saturdays at 9 a.m. on Ocala's News Talk, The Source 96.3 FM and 1370 AM.
Looking for that spot to try some real Cuban food? Head on over to Mama V's Cuban Cafe with home-cooked food just like Abuela used to make it. Mama V's is the #1 authentic Cuban cuisine. Centrally located on Highway 200 in Ocala. Best Cuban sandwich, steak, black beans and rice, and yummy sweet plantains. Tres leche and flan for dessert. Mama V's is open Monday through Friday 10 to 7, Saturday 10 to 9. Sandwich combos include side and drink for $7.95. And you've got to try Mama V's Tropical Shakes. 622-1727. Mama V's Cuban Cafe.
Kenny's Place Nursery offers horticulture training for the mentally handicapped, and that makes them beautiful people in my book. And those beautiful people have some beautiful plants and flowers on sale, like annuals in 4-inch pots for only $1 each, a 3-gallon bottle brush plant for only $8, Confederate jasmine, 3 gallons for $8. How about azaleas, 1 gallon for only $4.25, and a 2-gallon pot of knockout roses for only $17. Call 352-867-1213 for Kenny's Place Nursery.
The 5 Points of Life Foundation is hosting a golf scramble at Golden Ocala, Monday, May 11th. So get your foursome together and take part at one of the best golf courses in the Southeast. Limited spaces available, so visit 5pointsoflife.org or call 352-224-1728 to register your team today. This incredible tournament boasts one of the best player gift packages in the area. A delicious lunch will be provided and award ceremony. The 5 Points of Life Golf Tournament at Golden Ocala.
Wow, I can't believe what I'm seeing. Who did this?
P&P Tikis and more, of course. Now I have a tiki hut for shade, and I can enjoy the sounds of my cascading fountain while feeding my koi fish in my own pond. They even fixed my fence and redid all my landscaping. Nice to see a professional, reliable, family-owned business. Yes, P&P Tikis is the natural Florida tiki builder and water features designer. With free estimates, P&P Tikis is licensed and insured. Call 352-877-3307 for your very own tiki hut and more. That's 352-877-3307. P&P Tikis.
Check this out.
New shows? Check. Check. Some new talent? Check. The same great sports talk? I'm seeing it right now. Wrong. Wrong again? Wrong. It's better. There are so many great things going on in sports. We gotta get it. From our mics. Test. To your ears.
The latest update we got is...
awesome.
All right, 20 minutes after 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. There was a story this morning about an experiment where they switched diets with, I guess, South Africa and someplace here in America, and they did it for, I can't remember how long they did this for, and they saw some definite differences in the physical health of the South Africans. I guess they eat healthier than us Americans do in general. And you know, it's kind of a no-brainer. I guess what you eat is going to affect your health. The one thing that I'm really fascinated by in this next interview is the bacteria, because you always think of bacteria as a bad thing. You take an what do you call it? Antibiotic to kill bacteria, and actually some of the bacteria that we have in us, in fact, there's like a gazillion of them, is actually good for you. And so I have heard that before. I don't know that I understand it, but even more than that, I don't even understand how it affects our mood. Which is a fascinating part of this interview. It's a very short interview, so you have to get the book to see the details. The book is called The Good Gut, Taking Care of Your Weight, Your Mood, and Your Long-Term Health. It is written by our two guests, Dr. Justin Sonnenburg and Dr. Erica Sonnenburg. They're both on the phone. Let's say good morning to them. I do have notes on them, but I don't have a whole lot of time here. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Are you both doctors? Do I address you both as doctor?
Yeah. You can call us by our first name too. That's fine.
Okay. Well, thank you. And are you husband and wife?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And where are you? Where are you calling from?
We're at Stanford University.
All right. So is this new science, or is this something we've known all along and just weren't paying attention to?
It's a very new field that's totally changing how we view the human body and how we view biomedicine. That we're not just human cells as each individual. We're actually a composite organism with microbial and human parts. Our microbial cells actually outnumber our human cells 10 to 1. So by cell number, each one of us is actually more microbial than we are human.
Isn't that interesting? So they're independent, but we're interdependent with them.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you can think of yourself as sort of like a tube of human cells that houses hundreds of trillions of bacteria. And, you know, we're an ecosystem. We're all working together.
Wow. And so when we eat certain foods, do we kill them off? Like there's a spicy bowl of chicken wings or something? I mean, does that actually hurt us or anything?
Yeah, well, one of the things that the field has really established over the past several years is that what you're saying is very accurate, that exactly what we eat is dictating what's going on with our gut microbiota. And you know, the details about spicy food are there are studies going forward looking at this, but the most important thing to come out is that we're not eating enough dietary fiber to nourish this community. It's the roughage that's found in plant material that actually fuels this community that lives in the distal portion of our GI tract. And as Westerners, we only eat 15 grams of fiber per day, which is not enough to actually feed this community. And it appears that in the West, this microbiota is deteriorating, and that it's actually probably contributing to a lot of our modern maladies.
Oh, wow. So is it as simple as simply eating more salads and are dressings ruining it or not? Because, you know, when you go on a diet, they will say, be careful with the dressing because you're going to add a bunch of calories. But if losing weight, for example, wasn't the issue, I don't even know what I'm trying to ask. I guess I'm trying to ask you, can I have salads and dressing at the same time, and would that help?
Yeah, so I mean, we see that a diet that's high in plant material is definitely beneficial for these microbes, but there are other things too that help this community. So a diet that includes probiotic bacteria, so things, these are foods that are fermented, so yogurt and pickles and sauerkraut, those kinds have live microbes in them that help our microbiota function better. Things like staying away from antibiotics whenever possible. We know that antibiotics really, decimate this community, and they struggle to recover after a round of antibiotics.
Oh, wow.
Things like having pets, just being around dirt and soil really helps expose ourselves to more environmental microbes. And I think, what you said at the beginning is very true. I think most people think of bacteria as something bad, and what we're realizing is that the majority of bacteria that is in us and in our environment is actually good for us. And so we just have to stop thinking about them all in this negative way.
My next question is going to make our listeners suspicious, and it's because I'm going to use the word probiotics. And the reason they would be suspicious because there are some infomercials. Not that the infomercials have bad information, but an infomercial is typically designed to get you to buy some kind of a product. I just want the listeners to know that's not what I'm doing here. There's a book, not a product. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to ask you about probiotics. Is the kind you would buy like in the health food store, is that a good thing, or would it be better to get it from sauerkraut and pickles and things like you said?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. The whole field of probiotic supplements is riddled with problems just because there's not a lot of regulatory oversight. And so while there are good products out there, there are also a lot of bad products in that they either don't have live microorganisms or they don't have the ones that are shown on the label. That's been shown in several studies. And so, if you want to buy a supplement, it's probably good to go with a company whose name you recognize because they have the reputation at stake and probably have better quality control because of that. But we really, in our own family, rely heavily on fermented foods, things like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, as a way of introducing these same microbes into our diet on a daily basis.
And lifestyle change is really what you advocate in your book and all of your teachings.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we just need to rethink the way that we live our lives and just take into account the fact that we're housing this community of microbes and we're, in a way, keepers of them. And so we just have to make sure in decisions that we make about what we eat and, whether or not we take antibiotics, that we just have to remember that this community is completely reliant on the choices that we make. And so if we make bad choices, that can really hurt that community and in turn hurt our health. But if we make good choices, then we can really nourish this community and in the long term benefit our health as well.
I want to tell you something. When I was a kid, I used to love Life cereal, and one time my mother noticed that there was some chewed edges of the box, and she looked in my bowl, and well, there was little turds in there from a mouse, and chapter 7 of your book says eat sh !T and live.
Oh.
So, and I'm a very healthy guy. And I wonder if maybe I didn't get something good for myself and didn't know it.
Well, in no part of the book do we advocate eating rodent feces, but I do think that one of the major things that research is showing us is that we are too hygienic and too sterile. And while in a medical or hospital environment, this is incredibly important, I think it's just we have to perform the cost-benefit analysis in a realistic way. If you've just been petting your dog or out in your yard where there aren't harmful chemicals, it's probably okay to be a little more relaxed about being so clean and hygienic. And so, I'm guessing you probably don't have a lot of allergies, Larry.
No, Robin, am I not? I'm like Superman. I don't want to jinx myself, but everybody gets sick around me. I never get sick.
Yeah.
All right. I don't even have enough time to ask about your mood. The book has the answers to your questions. I have a copy of this book. It's a really well-written book, The Good Gut. Call me if you want the copy that was sent to me, and I will give it to you. It'll be waiting for you at the station. The rest of us will have to buy it, including myself and Robin. Can you give us a website, or is it just on Amazon? How do we get the book?
Yeah, the book is on Amazon, and then it's also it's linked from our webpage at Stanford, which is sonnenburglab.stanford.edu.
All right. Well, thank you for the information. This is actually a topic that I've been wondering about, and it's the infomercials that get me wondering, but at the same time, I'm always suspicious of infomercials. So thank you both for being on the air with us.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
All right, we'll take a little break. I see somebody calling in for the book, so let's take that call off there. We'll be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. Authorities feel last night's curfew in Baltimore did work after getting off to a bumpy start.
There were some folks, many folks, who stayed out just past the curfew started at 10 o'clock. They were sent home with pepper balls. Some other folks were sent to jail in handcuffs just for wandering into the area, despite many warnings not to.
Fox's Peter Ducey in Baltimore, which is trying to recover from rioting triggered by the death of a man in police custody.
There were no big structure fires, and only one officer was injured when somebody in the crowd threw rocks at a different location.
Schools are open this morning, and there will be an Orioles game today against Chicago White Sox, but teams will be playing to an empty stadium, which is closed to the public. And numbers just out showing our economy stalled in the first quarter, with the GDP growing just 0.2%. Fox News. We report, you decide.
Times sure have changed since Geico started saving people money.